Start over, Eric.
Oh,
It
you
wasn't
want me to
going.
start over?
Yeah.
Oh,
Go.
God damn it. Do I have to count 5 again?
Yeah. Go.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, here we go. This is the Duke postgame report. Welcome. I'm Eric Russman, and I'm here with my right-hand man. Sometimes he stands on the left, Maurizio Martinovich. So today we're going to be recapping our great win down in Charlotte at the ACC tournament. We're going to go over our great win against FSU, and then we're going to look forward ahead to March Madness, the final tournament, 68 teams, a couple of games, the road to Minneapolis. We're going to talk about some of the projections, how we think things are going to go. Yeah, let's get it going.
Yep. I'm almost done. Okay. Whew. I got my scissors and I got my net. And ladies and gentlemen, we have cut the nets down in Charlotte. Hopefully, the first set of nets that we are going to be cutting down this season. Let's get those rally caps going. Woo, baby. This is an OG cap from 2010, all the way from back when we were in school. I think, Eric, we remember that season quite well, don't we?
It's fantastic.
It was a fantastic season. It's all good stuff. All right, but what did we do? We played a game on Saturday, and ladies and gentlemen, what a game it was. We had a lot of fun, so here we go. It is the ACC title game against Florida State. Coach K going for his 15th title. Duke going for its 21st. Records by all accounts. Florida State, we played them earlier this season in Tallahassee. It was a close game, and Cam Reddish sealed the deal for us there. This game would be tough in the early going, but defense is going to be the name of the game. There's Javin turning defense into offense into alley-oops for RJ Barrett. And then Zion going to repay that defense with a nice assist there. Duke looking good early. However, Florida State would go up by 8. And as a Duke fan, you're saying, oh my God, not again. However, the defense is going to lock this down, and we're going to get to Zion, and Zion's going to key the comeback again. He's going to get us going here. And then next play is going to be his buddy RJ with the quick inbounds from the baseline. It's going to be the bucket and the foul. And now Duke going to ratchet up the defense. Zion and Tre are going to team up for this one. And Florida State's not going to know what to do with it except give it to RJ Barrett, who's just going to take this in for the slam. Duke clawing its way back into this game. And then Zion in between 3 Florida State defenders gets his own rebound after the miss and finishes. Duke ties it up. And then after a made FSU bucket, Duke's going to take a page out of the Carolina playbook and beat down the floor before I can even finish the highlight. Scoring, my God, 33 points for this. And now Duke is going to get its first three-pointer with 50 seconds left in the half. Can you believe that? Duke and Florida State are going to go into the locker room tied at 36. Coming out of the locker room in halftime, Duke finally trying to assert itself. Zion Williamson high off the glass. Nicely done. Duke finally in the lead. And then Javin defense. Reject 1, reject 2, reject 3 times. Florida State sit down. Defense into offense in transition. And Zion says, y'all, this is my tournament. Y'all just playing in it. Look at that. In between the trees again. And then here we go. Zion with the rebound. Zion casts fireball. Oh, my God, what a pass to Tre Jones. Are you kidding me? This dude's going to end up in the Avengers before you know it. Now, Tre Jones, he's going to go 94 feet before the traitor Jay Billis can even promote his segment, and he's gone. Look at him. Woo, baby. Duke by 12 at this point. Now we're rolling. Then Florida State starting to make mistakes. RJ Barrett says, give me that ball. RJ Barrett going down the floor. Here you go, Tre. Wait, actually give it back. Bang. Alley-oop for that one. Let's look at it again, ladies and gentlemen, with the hops high. Duke looking good. However, Florida State was going to make a run of it. RJ Barrett in between 3 Florida State defenders says, Zion, I can do it too. There we go. Duke trying to extend the lead. And now Tre Jones here, righting the ship. Tre Jones goes up. Shot goes down. Jones goes down. Doesn't matter. Duke by 7. And then at this point, Duke trying to salt this thing away. And who else but Cam Reddish again? Yes! The 3 with the dagger. Florida State says, fear the spear. I got your spear right here, Florida State. Take it! Duke with the ACC championship. Nah. Cue the confetti, ladies and gentlemen. There it is. The title. The proper kings of the ACC are back on the throne. Beautiful stuff by our Blue Devils. none of this UVA winning the championship thing. None of that. None of that. None of that. We're gonna take the whole thing, and it's ours once again. Eric, what a great 3 days for our boys down in Charlotte.
Yeah, it was a nice little stint. I mean, wow, Zion really showed up. I mean, and everyone else kind of bounced off of his energy and him coming back from the injury and really kind of showing up. And I just think it rippled throughout the other guys on the team. They keep like talking about it in post game interviews. I mean, I think they've really bought into the concept of like that their brotherhood, and they're playing like that. I mean, they're playing very unselfish ball.
Yep.
Lots of passes back and forth, really getting stuff moving. Like I said, like you pointed out, they were moving down the court fast and free like Carolina does, which is usually not typically the way we kind of run on fast breaks. And I mean, and then in addition to that, our defense was just creating our offense. I mean, it was great to see us have a strong defensive effort going into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, the beginning of this game looked like both teams were tired. After third
Yeah,
game in 3 days, it was and 36 all at the half, and no team was really like they're going to run, and then the other team were going to run, and it was a little bit back and forth there. But
yeah. I mean, they both had huge battles. Right before that, I mean, we played UNC, which was an incredibly fast-paced game. Two very good teams. In Florida State, played against Virginia Tech, who's
Virginia,
also who's also very excellent. So I mean, just like a lot of battle. I mean, 3 days is just like a lot. Most of the time, these guys get at least 2 days of rest in between games. So
yeah, Zion and Tre both played 40 minutes. RJ played 39. Cam Reddish with like 37. I mean, they were basically playing the entire game at this point.
yeah,
Um,
at this point, it's just the will to win, that pushes you over the edge.
Yeah. Cam Reddish, he something about Florida State and Cam Reddish because the boy showed up again. No turnovers all game. No
Yeah, which is a
charges.
huge improvement.
Huge improvement. And he hit all his free throws. 6 for 6 or 7 for 7 from the free throw line.
Well,
And
he's as they pointed out last time, he's one of our best now, right? shooting
yes,
shooting at 76%, one of our best free throw shooters.
exactly. Plus the dagger. The dagger at the end. There it is. There's the dagger. Into Florida State. Beautiful stuff. Tre also with the defense, offense, everything, a career high for Tre Jones at the point guard. And there was a point in this game where we saw in the highlights that Florida State actually made a go of it in the second half.
Mhm.
They got within 5 points, but Tre Jones steadied the ship.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely came out very strong in at the beginning of the second half and played like a strong 4 minutes. I know RJ. I believe he said after the game that coach wanted to come out and kind of punch them first, which typically sometimes we have trouble doing. A lot of times we come out of a half, even like we're close, like tied at half or something like that, and we come up and give a little like 6 point run to the other team.
Yeah.
But I mean, we did quite the opposite this time, and I think it's always, especially the second half, to win those first 4 minutes is always huge. It kind of sets the tone for the rest of the game.
You say it's like a huge mental win, not
Oh
necessarily
yeah,
like the fact that you're up in points.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because I mean, you go into halftime, your coach is telling you like what you need to do and kind of gives you a game plan, and you like mentally convince yourself that, oh, if we do these things, then we'll be able to beat them. And then like and then you come out, and then like next thing you know, your close game just became like you're down, and you're like, crap,
Yeah.
like that didn't work, coach.
Whatever Coach K said, though, at halftime definitely did work. The first game since the beginning of February that all four freshmen are in double digits. It was actually, we only scored 73 points. It's not like we put up 100, but like,
Mhm.
a team win all around. We wanted to do a close look at Zion and Tre. Well, since we started the show, we haven't gotten to do like Zion much because he's been injured.
Yeah.
But he had one hell of a tournament here. We got highlights from Syracuse, Carolina, and Florida State here. Eric, I mean, we've run out of good things to say about this guy.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely, you could tell that he missed not being part of the team, and there was almost a sense of urgency that he was playing with to kind of make up for that, to do his part. I mean, it's almost as if he channeled the energy from 6 games into 3. I mean, just on it's funny because impressive as his offensive highlights are, I actually think his defense was one of the bigger keys. I mean, he just mantled people defensively and low. I mean, down low, he was just blocking people, rebounding. I mean, it was just an incredible difference that teams that who some of them like Syracuse we played in the past like had to completely adjust to him being in there.
Oh, it's a
Just
block.
very
Oh
different.
man, he sized that one up from a mile away. And then you had a funny thing you said to me. I think you texted me. Zion cleans up all the screw ups.
Yeah, because he's there, and like normally we don't get those like little tip-ins. It's kind of like if we miss a short rebound or a long one, like usually the other team has it's a little more of a size advantage and can like box out and get rebounds, but he's just there and he gets a hand on it. It's enough.
Yeah, there's the defense against UNC. I mean, he's in the passing lanes. He's dunking. It's
He
just
has he has great anticipation. I mean, I think they said even being out those 6 games, he's like, did they say he's like the leader in steals in the ACC,
yeah,
which is like
still up in steals. Yeah.
which is still absurd. Like, I mean, that's absurd to think about it. 6'8", 285-pound dude, like breaking away. And, because if he misses those, that's a huge gamble. Next thing you know, it's 5-on-4 going the other way for him to come back around, but he gets it. He gets a hand on it.
And so perfect in his game against Syracuse, 13 for 13. His game against UNC, 13 for 19, actually lowered his field goal percentage. And I think he ended the tournament somewhere in the 70s.
Yeah. He's a smart player. He gets himself high percentage shots. I mean, in the paint. We seen him hit threes. He has a decent shot, but he knows it's not his strength, and most of the time it's easier for him to get to the rim with a layup than to just take the open three and settle. Even if he shoots it 30%, it's still a better decision to drive in most cases for him.
Exactly. And then the other key is Tre Jones, because
Yep.
having Zion back, I feel like all of Tre, Tre makes life easier for everyone, but especially when you have Zion, you can just throw it down there and he's like getting assists like nobody's business at this point.
Yeah, I thought Trey was making great passes. I mean, even Zion was making great passes to Trey, but I mean, the guys were making great cuts, and he was getting the ball like right in stride when they're open. Nothing really like kind of like out of their reach. Yeah, and I just thought it was good. The team chemistry seemed to be fully there today. Which is always great to see the last game before the tournament starts.
Yeah, before the tournament. And I mean, you had Tre looks like the Tyus of 2015. Almost.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
To be
I
able
mean,
to actually push this
I
thing.
think somebody asked him, they're like, oh, are you like your brother? It always seemed like, Tyus always seemed to step up in big games. And, he's like, I mean, I think it's just, it's about the will to win and, wanting to like do like more than you're part of your team, and just kind of, I mean, I think that's definitely, they grew up in the same household, so it's definitely comes from somewhere. They've been part of the same program by the same coach, and I think that's part of what being a Duke player is.
Yeah, B. Russman in the chat. I think Zion's bounce pass to Tre was the most amazing thing he did. I agree. That's why we gave it a full fireball effect in the
Yeah, that's a nice
highlights.
little graphic you
Yeah,
got there.
yeah. I mean, Zion's like just shooting. He had a baseball pass against the Syracuse
Yep.
game, and now he's just shooting fire out of his hands.
Yeah, here's a question, because I've noticed him doing this. I think Zion has created a brand for his left arm. He has his little trademark like flex, right? And then
Yeah,
after these passes, he kind of like
just the
he'll hold it down and like look at his hand, and like he's impressed with it, but like he didn't know where it comes from. And like I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, I bet if he created a Twitter account for just his left arm, it would get a decent amount of followers. And
almost as many as his Instagram.
I was like, this is 2019. A golden egg has the most followers ever. So like, I'm pretty sure his arm
There
could
you go.
also get sponsored by something. So
The other amazing stat: Zion in 3 games has broke the record for scoring with 81 points. He was 7 points shy of breaking Jason Tatum's 88-point record for a Duke player, but Tatum did it in 4 games.
that's right.
Zion did it in 3. So it's super impressive stuff. So we mentioned defense, and the first breakdown we wanted to do here for y'all was on the defensive end, because it seems like when Duke gets down, like coach says something and like they come out playing with a different level of energy on the defensive end. So we have this play from when we're in the middle of our comeback, about 5 minutes to go, and this play looks oddly similar to one that we pulled against Louisville in that comeback. So here's the Louisville play. There's the trap in the same spot, and that leads to a turnover. And then this one, you can see that the similarity is striking. In the same spot on the floor, and our Blue Devils go get it. So, Eric, what is the defense here that we're playing, and why is this spot on the floor like the death nail?
Yeah, so this is definitely kind of it's essentially like a three quarters or full court man. We're just kind of just walking back with them, but where it's designed to have kind of the middle guy Zion in this case. He's looking for the trap. It's Tre's job to kind of to just harass the ball handler as much as possible. Try to contain him to one of these corners.
Look at this, no airspace. Nothing.
Yeah, and then it's just up to the intuition of the helper to come over and set the trap, and then everyone else kind of adjusts to get to the passing lane. Zion is able to leave his man and come track because, I mean, the worst case, the point guard passes back to this guy and he has time to recover. So anytime you trap, you're always going to leave one person open, but you leave the person open who's like the pass you could afford, and then you can scramble and adjust back to it.
So Zion's man is this one right here, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And you can see where his eyes are at. His eyes are down here.
Yeah, it's almost. I mean, it's like he's guarding him, but he's definitely like he's waiting to jump. It's almost like he's acting like he's playing defense somewhere else right now. And yeah, I mean, this play really starts just by Tre being just an unbelievable like harassing point guards. I mean, this is one of the guards of Florida State, who's an excellent team, and he almost looks unsure of his handling. Like he is consistently looking down a few times to make sure he's like dribbling correctly, which normally, elite point guards like don't have to look down, it's unconscious, but he is, just in case Tre Jones' hands are there. And I think that's a reflection of being hassled the entire game up to this point. And then just, Tre Jones does a great job of just constantly making the guy with the ball feel like he's everywhere. He is just all over the place, getting in his sight lines every time he tries to look to see who might be open. Tre Jones gets in his way. So you have to constantly readjust, and just creates this like sense of panic. Letting him get across this quarter in this corner right here. The reason this is the ideal trap zone is because
here's Zion just pounces. He's like, he's there, bang.
Yeah, and especially when he turns his back, because this guy does not see Zion coming. As far as he knows right now, he's about to do a spin move and potentially get open, and then they can run their offense. He has no idea it's coming. And he's not going to be able to make that pass. I mean, it's Zion. Like, he's going to be completely blocking. By the time, even if he did make that pass, worst case, like RJ could come over and cover that guy, and everyone just kind of rotates, and then Zion would duck back and pick up the open man. But the actual two important defenders, why this corner works, is the sideline is a defender in this case, and then the backcourt line. It's essentially you're creating four defenders that surround that person. He has nowhere to go.
There. With these guys. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep. And Tre Jones does a great job of kind of bodying up and not letting him kind of get back sideline or something. He cuts it off right there, and Zion just comes in for the steal, completely unsuspecting, caught off guard.
Yep, and they just end up turning it over at that point.
Yep.
All right, so the next play is on offense. It is the dagger shot that brings it home for us in the slow motion. Cam Reddish. Oh, it's almost, if you like flipped this, it would be like in the same spot he shot the other one, except we were going in the opposite direction. So there's something about that point on the floor that Cam really loves. But since Zion has come back, it seems it's gotten a little harder to find the offensive sets and like actually break down these plays for y'all, because we play so much freer and so much looser that the plays just seem to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Coach K is standing up on this. I don't remember exactly if it like a couple seconds before this, if he maybe like held up a hand to signal something. I think at most that he might have signaled was just to have the screen, just to start it off, this Zion screen that's coming up here.
Yep.
But even if not, I mean, it's just, you kind of get in your general kind of motion offense with like Tre at the top, guys, you typically have the guys in the corner, the guys on the wing, somebody in the middle in the case of when Zion's in the game, which is the kind of the formation they're in. And then, somebody makes a move, like setting a screen, and then you kind of like play that out. Everyone reacts, is going to cut to where there's an opening in the court, kind of fill a lane. And it's actually pretty organic. I think they're just reacting to like the result of the screen here, and then it doesn't really work. So Zion's like, oh, well, now
Zion
we're in a
comes
different
up. Yeah,
position.
the guy goes underneath him,
Yep.
and
And
then
he's like, oh, well, that it wasn't super open. RJ, kind of helps, but he's like, oh, that's not really open. You're just kind of trying things out and, cutting to the open things. And then he just sets the second screen and doesn't really work. But, Jav moves to the open space. Um,
and it sort of baffles me how Cam gets open here because this dude from Florida State, like that's his man, and
you know,
Cam just makes a move and he's gone. Like almost as if this guy didn't expect that Cam was gonna get the ball. Cause he gets the
yeah, because I
ball
mean,
and he hasn't moved
it,
yet.
it yeah, it's very poor rotation. Because I mean, it was also kind of it looked like a blown play, and like he was kind of looking and not really committing to going to the middle of the paint, and the ball gets kicked out. And I think Jab makes a very good decision to quickly screen it or to swing it over to Cam. I mean, it's pretty much like pretty fluid. Yeah, that guy's out of position, and Cam is tall enough and long enough that it takes him one step to get 3 or 4 feet of clearance, and he just catches this great and turnaround jumper. I mean, it's a great jump shot for him. I
It
think that's
is
like textbook
catch
right
and
there.
shoot. I mean, there is no hesitation. This thing is delivered in the shooting pocket by. I mean,
Yeah, and
yeah.
I mean that's also see this is also a good point about team chemistry. Where this pass goes, I mean he throws it to like his upper chest, and Cam catches it with his hands already in the shooting position, which is why he's able to quickly get it off versus having to bring it up from somewhere lower. Or, if Jaff had done a bounce pass or something like that. And I think this is the part where you start to get like the little differences, whether you get a shot off or whether it's clean and you're relaxed when you shoot it. And it's like it's knowing from practicing like, oh, I know that Cam likes the ball thrown right to his chest. Some shooters actually like it when it's kind of thrown to their hip because they like coming in the rhythm of coming up, which is slower shot, but if they're more comfortable with it, it's better. So I think this is like the subtle signs of all the chemistry starting to come together, or at least I hope it is. So
Yeah, we're gonna go with that and the friendly roll there at the end. Good stuff. And that is, of course, the one that just ices it for us. All right, so one championship down, 6 more games to go. 0-0. We're starting over going into Friday's game against the 16 seed. So now this is going to be our NCAA tournament preview. We're going to bring back Justin. Loshali's on the phone with us as well. We're going to do our own little version of bracketology. We're going to break it down for you all so you can fill in your brackets. There's a poll also on the active on the stream. So for those who want to highlight over the video player, the poll question is who will be the first seed to fall, the first number 1 seed to fall, and that's the options are Virginia, UNC, or Gonzaga. So go ahead and vote in the poll there, and then again, if you follow the stream, you can hit up one of the mods, and they will give you a password to our bracket challenge group. And of course, the winner is going to get $100 from us, unless it's me, in which case I will give myself $100 and buy a very nice Duke pair of Duke Nikes or shoes or
fair's
something.
fair.
Yeah, fair is
Fair.
fair, right? So, anyway, so somebody go out there and beat me. Yeah, just whisper one of the mods. I think Justin's around, or say hi in chat and say, "Hey, I need a password." They will give it to you, and we're off to go. Okay, so Duke, the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament, going in the East region. Eric, Justin, your first sort of impressions of the draw.
I mean, I actually like most of where we're at. I'm not. I'm fine with the like Mississippi State, Liberty, Virginia Tech, St. Louis, VCU is kind of a tough 8 seed. I think they're the top ranked 8 seed. Um, the rest of our little eighth or whatever of the thing is pretty nice. Drawing Michigan State was unfortunate. I think they're slated as being number 6 overall ranking, and then somehow that turned into them being with the number 1 overall seed. I think they should have been in a different quarter of the bracket, especially because they almost had a resume that they could have been a number 1 seed themselves. They were actually, I think, the only school to win both their conference tournament and their regular season conference, and they're scary good. They have a veteran team, a lot of juniors, a lot of seniors, and they've beaten a few other really good teams throughout the year. So
They beat Michigan 3 times.
3 times, and Michigan got somewhat a better draw than them, even though they acknowledge that, like, yeah. Anyway, I'm a little salty. My dad's a Spartan fan, so but I also would have enjoyed seeing Duke and Michigan State potentially in a Final Four in Minneapolis, but that seemed to happen once in 2010, and it worked out pretty good for Duke. So
Right.
but when they were on the opposite side, we didn't have to play them. I think Duke can handle Michigan State.
Yeah, so Tom Izzo it does not have like anything close to a winning record against K, especially in tournaments. So 4 of our 5 championships have come as a number 1 seed, including the ones in 2010 and 2015. And I mean, last year we weren't a number 1, but we were basically 1 shot away from a Final Four for Kansas.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Michigan State's all, they're in great tournament mode right now. They just they were actually down to Michigan in their tournament championship game, and they just had a will to win and come back, and they were showing a lot of the behaviors that you kind of need to have to win tournaments, hitting clutch free throws, clutch 3-pointers, playing defense, getting turnovers, and stressful situations. So I think some kind of those like things you can't technically see a stat on sometimes kind of come through more in the tournament. But I like where we are. I mean, Louisville's in our bracket. If we potentially have to see them, if Michigan State doesn't take care of them for us,
there's no way. Louisville is such a broken team ever since we beat them. There's no way.
They've been sinking fast.
They've been sinking fast. They're out in the first round. Minnesota over Louisville. There you go.
Yeah, LSU. I think I've watched like one of their games. I think you guys probably know more about them than I do.
LSU with a cheating coach that isn't coaching. Yep, I picked that upset too.
Yeah. People, there's always like kind of there's like certain things you kind of like look for in a tournament. Sometimes like people forget that there's some good teams out there that have like not so great coaches. They just they have really talented players, and they've got them coached them well enough to be good. Because I'm sure some of these teams that are out there could be great if they had the right coach, but some coaches are just kind of get by because they got some good players in a all right conference. Maryland, I actually haven't watched many of their games either, but I think that they're also pretty good.
Not everybody can have Coach K or like Tony Bennett or Mark Few. I won't mention the other coach in the bottom right hand corner. He's probably off test driving Infinities with his mascot right now, on his way to God knows where they're playing. I guess Columbia. I think that there's an interesting matchup with Virginia Tech.
Yep.
Talk to me about this one.
So I mean, was it Blackshear gave us a lot of trouble in the last matchup. I think that becomes different with Zion back. But I mean, they played well against Florida State, but we just beat Florida State. I think if we can play like we played against Florida State, against Virginia Tech, we don't have a problem. I think we should be able to handle Blackshear, or at least hold him down enough to be able to beat him. And I think he's been one of their best players. So I think as long as we can focus on that. And who's the other guy?
Justin Robinson coming back off injury.
Oh crap!
Just came back.
Ooh, I forgot about that.
That'll give him a bit of a spark. But I haven't looked at their record in the tournament over the past couple of years, but obviously not that great.
Yeah. The problem is that it's in March, and by the time we play them, it won't be February 16th. So I think we'll be okay.
Yes, I think we'll be okay.
There's no curse of the February 16th there. I think Eric, you had put together a little matrix of like who you thought had the hardest bracket.
Yeah, well, yeah, because it honestly started because I was a little salty about the Michigan State one. I was just trying to wrap because I always I've never paid attention to like that there's actually these overall rankings. I always knew about like the overall number ones and stuff, but I never thought about like the rest of the rankings like 1 through 64. Like they actually give them all a number, but it's not like I've always thought it was like pretty like straightforward. Like like basically number 64 plays number one, and kind of you do the whole tournament like that. Um, with like some minor adjustments of maybe like a team deserves to not have to go to the Midwest or something
Right.
like that. So yeah, I was like, oh, so there might be some teams that kind of got are like the top 4 seed, and okay, so we're playing a 4, but we're playing the top 4 versus the bottom 4, and sometimes there's a difference in those quality of teams. So I kind of just went through and ranked them all like that, and just basically made like a red for Duke because they're the top 1, or like orange for Michigan State because they were the second number 2, and just kind of a very qualitative like how tough each bracket is. And it comes kind of interesting. Like I said, our first like our 8 team pod, like I said, other than like VCU is a top 8 seed. The rest of them are all lower. Like there's not another top seed. Most of them are the like NC Central, Mississippi State, Liberty, Virginia Tech. They're all the like 4th ranked of their seed number.
Okay.
So like I think the committee thought they were giving us an easier one there, but then they made the opposite part of that. The other one doesn't have any. It's all top ranked seeds, like 2nd or 3rd. So the other half. So half of half of the East is kind of a difficult, more compact thing, I think. But I think there's good matchups, and I kind of just see Duke, Michigan State coming out of this.
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of tend to pick it in games I want to see. Although, and so I think your results say that the bottom right, the Midwest, is actually the hardest region.
Yeah.
By seed.
No, I actually think the South.
The South, okay.
Yeah, I had the South because they had. I mean, yeah, it's kind of close depending on how you judge it. I mean, like they have 5 of like the top ranked of their seed numbers, but I guess one of them is the 16, and I'm not sure that matters at that point.
Right.
Yeah, I looking at that because of the 16. If you take away that one, I think the Midwest is much more difficult. I think some of those teams, their actual ranking is a little close. I mean, Houston, Kansas, Kentucky. I mean, I think Carolina has a kind of a difficult draw there, and those teams are just going to beat up on everyone else in it.
Yeah, so
then it's not close. Any other teams in there, I don't think.
Yeah, so I was Tustin, Justin, you and I were talking. Like, I feel like this year, the top 2, like the 1 seeds and the 2 seeds seem to be in a class of their own, actually, to the rest of the field. In the sense that like those teams were essentially all competing for the 1 line at multiple points in the season. And I feel like there's just going to be a lot of chaos. Like 3 down, your seed does not protect you at all.
Yeah.
1 and 2s should be able to like move forward. And I think it would be very interesting to see which of the first of these is to drop, because consistently throughout the season, whether it's Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, Michigan, Michigan State, Duke, Gonzaga, Virginia, or Tennessee, like these teams have played on another level. In regard, like next to everyone else. But all right, so Justin, give me your dark horse pick to make a run at it.
My dark horse pick coming out of the West region, number 6 Buffalo.
Ooh, okay, number 6 Buffalo, all the way to the Final Four.
Only 3 losses on the season.
Yep, 31-3. They are playing fast. They play furious. This is a tough and remember who used to coach Buffalo? Ritz, do you know who that was?
I was going to say Hurley.
It is Hurley.
Yeah.
Yep. So he took them to one of their first, and God knows how long, and then left for Arizona State right after. But this team, I mean, I think they're for real. They play Hurley. if Arizona
do.
State wins their play-in game, which, storylines. So my big take from the bracket this year is there's a lot of stories. A lot of Duke could play. UCF's head coach is Johnny. We could play Virginia Tech. They beat it. Then we could play Michigan State. Coach K versus Tom Izzo. It really doesn't get more of a storyline. And so my dark horse
is gonna be Buffalo. Okay, Eric, your dark horse for the tournament.
I was just looking who they ended up getting paired up with. I was really liking, maybe not to win the whole thing, but to get farther than expected. I really wanted Wofford.
Wofford.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
you've been
then-
on the Wofford train for the last couple weeks. They
Yeah,
almost
but then
lost their title game.
I know it's hard to go against those adorable dog mascots, but Kentucky, I don't know if they can pull it off. I actually like Houston a lot.
Okay.
I've seen a couple of their games. Kind of like the way that they've been playing. They've kind of been pretty good over the last couple of years too. I always just feel like there's just always like a team from like I don't know, Texas or Oklahoma or something like that I always just like forget about to like watch, and they end up like killing my bracket.
How about the Anteaters?
Oh, Virginia. It could
Watch
be.
out, Virginia. Watch out, Virginia.
The UC Irvine Anteaters. I mean, that would be a story.
Yeah. Do you know what the sound that an anteater makes?
No, I don't.
Zot. Z-O-T. Zot, zot, zot.
Zot, zot, zot.
Yep.
Zot.
So,
Okay.
but the thing is, Kansas State just had its top player injured, which is why they lost the game in the Big 12 tournament. They didn't actually. They won the Big 12. They shared the Big 12 with Texas Tech, but didn't actually go on to play in the championship game. And you see the Big 12 champions, Kansas State, Texas Tech, 3-4 seeds. The conference down this year, especially with Kansas there at the 4. All right, let's wrap it up.
Wait,
Elite Eight.
Speaking of stories, how do we
Yeah.
feel about Marquette?
How do you feel? You tell me. How do you feel about Marquette? Where are we
Well,
at?
I like Wojo. He's
They they're
Against
playing,
John Morant and Murray
They're playing
State.
John Morant in the West. Yep, 5-12 matchup.
yeah.
Marquette's been on a down skid. I think they've lost the past 6 games, even though Marcus Howard is still scoring 35, 40 points a game.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, sometimes I get worried about teams that have one insane player. Gotta have at least 2.
Well, and to win the title, you need 3.
Are you recommending? Is somebody recommending this 5-12 upset then against Murray State?
I took Murray State.
Justin wants it. Justin's gonna put. Okay, he's going out on the limb. Justin gets Murray State, the 12.
Yep,
There
12
you
over
go.
the 5.
I think the popular one is New Mexico State over Auburn. Although Auburn just won the SEC, so don't tell Bruce Pearl that you're picking that one. Oregon just won the Pac-12. They're up against Wisconsin, so they're a champion. And then Liberty against Mississippi State. I suppose any of the 12s really have a shot.
I think Oregon can take down Wisconsin. Wisconsin is
agree.
they're so another thing I always try to look for as far as teams going far in the tournament is imbalanced teams. Like Wisconsin, their offense compared to their defense. So and there's there's a great website you can go look at this. What's it kenpom.com.
Yeah.
Where kind of creates these stats of offensive and defensive efficiency. And there's Virginia last year historically is top ranked defense last year, but their offense was way lower. And you kind of have this misbalance. And I think Gonzaga is a prime example. They have an incredible offense, but maybe not as high of a ranked of a defense. I think Duke is pretty balanced. I think I checked it today, and he had us ranked 6th for both.
Yeah. So my understanding is that no national champion has been outside of the top 10 in both in the past however many years, right?
Yeah.
You have to be top 10 in both offensive, defensive efficiency, and those are the teams that are vying for the national titles. Those are the contenders, and everyone else is just pretending, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing about, there's a difference between winning a bracket and a bracket pool, and then picking who wins the tournament. I mean, the numbers really at the end of the day, they don't lie. Like Thursday and Friday is going to be chaos. I think this year, like you mentioned, like a lot of outside of the top, 1 through 3 seeds, it can kind of go either way. Especially into the second round. But after that, like the numbers don't lie. Like generally, it's a 1 or 2 seeds end up in the final four, and I think that's pretty clear this year that it's just like a top tier.
Yep. So speaking about Final Four, all right, non-binding. Justin, your Elite Eight, Final Four, and national champion.
All right, so my Elite Eight: Duke versus Michigan State in the East. I have Florida State versus Buffalo in the West.
Wow. Okay.
Virginia versus Tennessee in the South.
Mm-hmm.
And North Carolina versus Kentucky in the Midwest.
All right, and then going in the other direction, North Carolina, Kentucky. Who wins?
I am going with Kentucky.
Go to hell, Carolina. South.
South is
Tennessee. All right, so you're vying for the rematch, Kentucky, Tennessee on that for the 4th time. You know how rare that is?
Storylines.
Storylines. All right.
About storylines.
In the East.
In the East, the Devil.
Duke. And then in the West, your upset Central bracket.
Upset Central. I'm going with Buffalo.
All right, so Buffalo and Duke to meet in the Final Four. Who takes it?
The Devils.
The Devils.
Going with Duke. And
then between the 4th time for Kentucky and Tennessee,
I'm taking
Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So a Duke-Kentucky rematch meeting at the first game of the season and the
yep. So and you have.
I have Duke winning it.
All right. So the season ends the way it started with a Kentucky romp.
That is a great storyline.
Yes, that is a great storyline. I can get on that. Can we get some Blue Devils? Can we get some Blue Devils in chat, please, for that storyline?
Thank you. Come on. Let's hear it. Come on, guys. Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
All right, Mr. Russman, non-binding, of course, but what your Elite Eight?
I would say mine are pretty close. I actually think I think I have Michigan against Gonzaga. I mean, Michigan has played. I like Michigan State's played very strong, but they also had some close games against Michigan. So I think Michigan is therefore a pretty good competitor. I think Gonzaga's offensive firepower takes them far enough, but I think Michigan is strong enough.
Michigan pulls the upset in the West.
Yeah.
All right.
I hate saying that because they're, on my other half of my heritage, they're kind of the UNC of that thing. But I have a lot of Michigan people in the office, and I would really like to stick it to them. So.
All right, and then in the East.
Let's see. Yeah, the East. The East. I'm going to have Duke, Michigan State, unfortunately. Fortunately, Duke is going to win that one as much as I like Michigan State. I think we fared pretty good against them in the past. Maybe somehow Coach K just kind of has Tom Izzo's number.
Yep, kryptonite.
Yeah, I kind of just think our Zion, kind of is maybe the X factor that pushes it over the edge to kind of just, overpower them. McQuaid from Michigan State is an excellent three-point shooter, and he's a senior. It's a lot of experience. I think if we keep him from shooting the lights out, then we'd have a pretty good chance to beat him.
He bailed them out yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. South.
I also agree with Justin. I like Tennessee going to the Final Four in this. I think Virginia doesn't quite have the offense to kind of carry them all the way through this year. I think that they're just too slow as far as like production, and if they needed to really come back, if somebody kind of goes up 8 points on them, I just don't see it happening. So I think that they can make it that far to the Elite Eight. Yeah, but I think if Tennessee gets there, they'll take them down.
And then in the Midwest.
Kentucky has just been playing great as of late. So has Carolina. I I always like deep down like don't want to have it just be all ones and twos, but like I hate running chalk brackets, but yeah, I see Kentucky against Carolina and Kentucky beating them. It's
All
not
right.
super interesting. Sorry.
And your national champion.
Oh, Duke, of course.
Oh, of course. All right. Well,
I always pretty much send them to the middle and then work backwards. So.
and work backwards. Say what needs to happen for Duke to win this whole thing. Yeah, mine is actually pretty similar. I actually have Texas Tech coming out of the West. Florida State beating Gonzaga, Florida State going to play against Texas Tech, and then Texas Tech taking the matchup.
Yep.
But I agree. Actually, so Iowa State against Kentucky, Kentucky wins, and then Kentucky beats the Roy and the Tar Heels. And I agree with you, Justin. I think storylines and the matchups you want to see, the season ends exactly the way it started, and things come full circle because you just can't write a better story if you tried.
Nope.
And
you can't.
That's just how things seem to work. And yeah, so also negative shout out to the trader Jay Billis, like we said in the highlights, who picked UNC, Shun, and yeah, I guess there's a special place maybe in hell for him. We'll see. Alongside Roy Williams, of course, and the rest of the Tar Heels.
You know what was also disappointing about Jay Billis? I just ran at this because you texted me, and I noticed this when I saw it, that he was announcing the game, and he made the comment, because this game was in Charlotte, where I'm from. He made the comment that he wasn't aware that there was a pub crawl, and he made that comment super late into the game, and I was like, man, that pub crawl has been going on since 9 a.m. Having personally done it multiple times myself, the pub crawl was going on since 10 a.m. He knew there was a pub crawl coming. And isn't he like technically a lawyer, like as part of technically a law firm at some point, like
North
in
Carolina sympathizer? Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, I was like, come on, Jay Billis, what are you doing, man?
Turns out Jay Billis should have watched the show, and that's actually all we have for you this afternoon or this evening. The winner of the poll, or I guess the loser of the poll, is Gonzaga. So Gonzaga is going to be the first number one to drop, according to the popular vote here. Which is, I personally think it's always a waste using the 1 seed on Gonzaga, but that's just personally me. They play a bunch of cupcakes during the season and then somehow get into this thing and like flame out before the second weekend, but I suppose we shall see. In any case, for the Duke postgame report, I'm Ritz. Eric?
Yes, I am, Eric. Thank you.
There you go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, fill in your brackets. We will see you next Monday night, same time, after Duke has now won 2 games in advance of the Sweet 16. We will recap the whole thing for you and look ahead to the Sweet 16 matchup and then possibly Elite 8 matchup. That will be in D.C. Game Friday night, 4:10 Pacific, 7:10 Eastern, CBS. Dun, 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 dun. All right, take care, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Go Duke.
Go Duke.
Go Duke.